Andrew, it's great to have you here right before a historic day, and you're a professional trader. So tell me what you're doing in front of the election. I know you're in a few contests. Oh, you're in a contest.
hmm
Um, can you get flat before the election, or what are you going to carry into it?
Yeah,
Welcome
what's going
back.
on, Dale? Yeah,
Hey,
thank you so much for having me on.
good to hear from you.
Yeah,
So
so
go ahead.
go ahead.
Go. No, go ahead.
Into the election. Yeah, so I'm competing in the US Investing Championship in the Enhanced Growth Division. So right now I'm in first place in the contest, which is awesome. But
Wow,
really now just trying to finish.
congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so really just trying to finish out the contest strong into the election. I can go ahead and share my screen if you'd like.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, right now I'm rocking the one monitor today, so just bear with me. Let's see. Okay, let me know if you can see my screen.
Got you.
Yeah, so my
Finviz.
approach, hmm yeah, so my approach heading into the election is really to actually be a little bit more aggressive than most other market participants are willing to be. So if we look, S&P 500 is trading down to that around that 50-day simple moving
Yeah,
average.
yeah,
I think as you guys were discussing, like knee-jerk reactions into an election, it's very, very normal that there's some jitters in the market and perhaps a sell-off. And the market had been running for, 5 or 6 months straight into this election.
right.
So I think there's a lot of people out there, as soon as the market goes down like 1 or 2%, then suddenly all the news narratives change and oh my gosh, like the world is ending, like this election may actually be it. And I think for the most part, most investors they just fall for that trap every single time, even though when you look at the data, the seasonality, like let's take a look. It's from the research note I put out last night. One thing I track very closely is seasonality in the market. And so right here I have this
You know, most of
seasonality.
the best traders I interview follow
Mhm.
seasonality. A guy named Don Dawson, who's on barchart.com. Um,
Oh wow.
yeah, I forgot who recommended him to me, but uh, the guy who recommended him to me said I'm hoping Don leaves me his seasonal studies. So
Yeah, for
that's how
sure.
important they are. Um, so what do we have in November here, buddy?
Yeah, so if we look and I put black boxes around every election year. So what
Okay.
I found was this is going back to 1996. There's some studies that go back even further. But for this one, about, 20, 25 years of data, somewhere around there. About 5 out of 7 of the past elections, the November was positive following the election. There were two negative negative periods. One was 2000 when we had the dot-com crash, and the other one was 2008 when we had the global financial crisis. But if you remove those two events, of course, that's kind of cherry picking, but we're not in a financial crisis right now. So my estimate is that most likely the VIX is pretty high heading into this event. Like if we
Was
look,
2000 Al Gore Supreme Court
I'm not sure.
decision? Yeah, I'm thinking that may be a reason because we didn't know who the president was for a while because of hanging chads, and who knows what's going to be hanging. We hope it's not Mike Pence that they decide to go after Mike Pence again, but we'll see what happens here. Okay, so you think Vol is overpriced because of the election right here?
Yeah, so I think most likely, and I think it's good that you mentioned, things can go wrong in an election. There can be uncertainty. So like if things go off with this election and like, oh my gosh, it's the tightest race we've ever seen, and then like there's some sort of, contesting of the election or anything like
Oh,
that.
there will be.
Yeah, I
There,
mean,
I
and
mean, that's a layup.
I'm of the view that that's not going to happen. I mean, of course
Wow.
it could happen, right? But I'm a trader and I have to put my bets actually on the table. So the way that I'm positioned is that that won't happen. And the reason why, so if we look at the
Then it
VIX,
must be a Trump win.
exactly. So if we look at the VIX up at around 22, right? And
Uh-huh.
I've been monitoring, if we look here at these election odds. I know everyone's been talking about these election odds for the past couple months,
Yeah.
but as of right now, it's looking like, based off of the latest and greatest data that betting market participants know, it seems like Trump is going to win this election. So I think, there's always, hey, maybe Harris comes from behind, maybe it's closer, but given the data that we have in hand today, it looks like this is going to be a decisive Trump victory. If that changes, I'll have to change my mindset on that. I'm not like, glued to that, but I'm just trying to think about like what information do I have in hand today. So my approach in the market has been, hey, if I'm of this mindset that the election's going to come and go, Trump is going to win, the world is going to keep spinning. If I'm of that mindset, then I want to be pretty long equities here. So I am long equities. My biggest position into this event, I'm long Roblox. And
Wow.
Roblox had this big gap up right here,
Yeah.
and that is where I started building my position. So I added a position into this gap higher, and then I added more to that position the following session. Roblox, awesome company, blew out their numbers. And so my mindset is, hey, if I think the market's going to rally post-election, I need to pick some of these strong horses and just try to get on board them. So Roblox, by far my biggest position. And then if we take a look here, the MSOS cannabis ETF, which
Oh,
we've
you
talked
haven't
about a
given
few
up on
times.
those. Yeah. You
Yeah,
think we're
so
coming out of here again?
so the MSOS is my second biggest position right now heading into the election. And I think this one on that November 5th ballot, I believe it is Florida that's going to be
Yeah,
voting
that's a
for.
big deal. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
they need 60% to ratify it,
Yep.
to legalize it. And the industry's poured a lot of money into it. Not just smoke, but a lot of
Mm-hmm.
money into
Yeah.
that campaign.
Yeah. So this one, my mindset, my belief is that on November 5th, that is going to pass. I'm positioned accordingly. And again, like if it doesn't pass, then, I'm going to lose money on this trade. So like I always try to think about most likely scenario, get my positions on the books. And then that way it's not like I'm like, oh, maybe this, maybe that. I try to just be like, you know what, I'm positioned for this. And if it goes one way, I'm going to make money. If it goes the other way, I'm going to lose money.
Okay, how many trades do you think you've made during this competition, which began when, Andrew?
Yeah, it began Jan 1.
Okay. All right. So 11 months. You think you make about 2 or 3 trades a week?
Somewhere around there. Yeah, I would say I probably
Okay.
make, yeah, probably like 3 to 4 trades a week, somewhere around
It,
there.
it's been hard to, and what's the longest hold you've had in your in this account for the contest?
Yeah, longest hold I've had is Alibaba. And
Okay.
Alibaba, I've been trading this stock all year. And somehow I've just been in tune with this stock. And I've been able to capture a lot of these runs in the stock and then just get, get very lucky with dishing out the stock into the strength. And
Uh-huh.
so like I was able to get long Alibaba in this consolidation period right here. I got really
Nice.
heavy in the stock. And then we had the stimulus program that was announced, David
Right.
Tepper saying he's long everything.
Yeah.
And I actually sold my Alibaba. I wish I had sold at the peak, but it's not always like that for me. So I sold my Alibaba. If I zoom in, I sold into these two candles right here.
Yeah.
And now I'm actually looking at potentially adding Alibaba again. I have a starter position in Alibaba right now. But my mindset, I have a divergent view on this stock where I think, again, my view is that given the data that we have in hand today, Trump's going to win the election. If that happens, I know a lot of people think like, oh, Trump's so tough on China, like whatever.
Right. Right.
My view is if Trump wins, the odds of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan in the next 4 years decrease. Um, and I actually looked at the numbers, and these Chinese equities actually perform very well under the Trump administration. So this is a starter position I have on, and I'm actually looking to potentially get bigger in Alibaba as we exit the selection sequence. If I start to see some more strength in this, then I'll probably bolster that position.
I think China's also worried about a Trump victory, not just for that reason and tariffs, but
Hmm.
that relationship with Russia would
Yeah.
change. And they're worried about um, Russia being drawn into the U.S. influence away from China, because Russia and China have been adversaries for decades and decades up until recently. So
Hmm.
that's something else G is worried about. So
Yeah, for
you're
sure.
betting on G. It's funny, we're having an election here, but one of your bets is on G that he'll, come through with something that we get another wave up in China.
Exactly. And what's kind of nuts is like, if you look at this chart, it's like, man, Chinese stocks, look how far down they are from that peak
Yeah,
at
that's a
115.
yeah,
But for me, where I was positioning most heavily in this group
yeah,
was when Alibaba was in the 70s and 80s. So for me,
yeah,
like where it's trading now is still a smidge higher than where I actually sold
right.
most of my position a few weeks ago. So it's kind of crazy. One thing I try to do as well is like I'm a swing trader and like I'm trying to win trading months and trading years, but like I try to at least zoom back out a little bit on the chart and just try to get like some context. Like this stock was, for most of the year trading in the 70s. So now it's at 98. Like this is still, even if say these stocks don't go up, they just kind of muddle around here. Like this has still been an awesome run in these China
It has.
names.
And you brought up an important thing, and it's something that traders always notice. You're considering buying something that is higher than where you got out. And for
Mm,
some reason, traders have this idea, well, I have to get it cheaper than where I originally sold it. It
mhm.
doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah, I used to do that all the time where I would just kind of anchor on my prior decisions. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's really just like what's my next best decision I can make given this hand that I'm playing right now in the market.
right.
So
Okay.
yeah, the one thing that does kind of concern me a little bit is the bonds, just how poorly they've been trading. I'm not sure if you've been monitoring the bonds pretty closely, but this has just been like a horrendous move in TLT.
Yeah, I have.
Hmm.
So do you think there's a turn at hand? Not if
My
Trump wins.
my
I hear, I,
guess, yeah,
yeah, anyway, the Trump trade is higher yields.
yeah, yeah, and I think like when Stan Druckenmiller and Paul Tudor Jones came out saying that they were both short the long end of the curve,
Yeah,
I think those guys, like everyone in the investing world, just kind of sees them as like, oh, these guys are the best investors. They're super wealthy. So I think it's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. They hear those guys say it, and then everyone just goes, oh, shoot, I need to sell my long duration bonds. So we've had a pretty big downdraft here. And I actually think if the election goes off without a hitch, we could see a bounce in the treasuries. But with that said, like those guys are super smart. So I think like the longer term trend here for these bonds, I think that's in question. But I really just believe that if the election just goes smoothly, so it's like, all right, guys, Trump won the election, and then the world keeps spinning. I think a lot of these assets go higher. Same thing, like if Kamala Harris wins the election and like, oh, she just blew out Trump, no problem. Here we go. And we move on. I really just think there's going to be a lot of investors, like, for example, that, they're just selling off some of their stocks, trying to get a little bit more defensive. And with the market up so much this year, as soon as we get past this election, everyone's going to be thinking about Thanksgiving. Everyone's going to be thinking about holidays, Christmas. And that is when I notice when you're in a strong positive year in the market, once you get to the holiday season, I used to work on a fixed income trading desk. Everyone goes on vacation, and you're just left with like the stragglers on the trading desk, and like the year is kind of over at that point.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So there's an expression that the bears feast on Thanksgiving and the bulls on Christmas.
Hmm.
So is it possible that we get a rally after the election on a Trump victory that puts in at least a short-term top for maybe a 10-20% correction? He did put in a bottom in 2016 when it
Hmm.
was limit down. Maybe we'll be limit up on a landslide and
Yeah,
they put in some type of high. It would
I
be
think that's definitely possible.
full circle from the
Yeah, I
low. And
think
yeah, what do
for
you
those
think?
that are worried about the bear case, I think that's the more realistic scenario where, like you mentioned, like, okay, we get past the election, the event volatility comes out, people can take off those election hedges for doomsday they had on. The market has, let's say, like, a day or two or three rally. And then I think that's going to be the real test for the market with some of these other like dynamics. Like once this event vol comes off the books,
Yeah.
then the market, let's see if it can stand on its own 2 feet.
Okay. Well, as you can tell, everyone, Andrew's a trader, and you could tell he's overcome a lot of the psychological junk that we have in our heads about, oh, I can't buy something I got out of lower or sell something I got out of higher. So, best way for people to follow, what you're doing in the contest. And uh, do you have a business model where you work with people? Andrew, you have a room or a letter? I'm surprised I don't know after talking to you all this time.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's right here. It's pristinecapital.substack.com. So I put out a piece of market research Sunday through Thursday. And this is always just all of the homework that I did to prepare for the session ahead. So I go
Yeah,
through my
nice.
full research workflow. And then I also have a Discord server as well. So for anyone that decides to become a premium member here, we throw you in the Discord as well. And all the trades that I'm doing for the contest, I post in the Discord, and we got a nice group of traders there.
How many?
Now a lot more. Yeah. They're
Okay,
it
all
was always
right.
small, but yeah, there's a lot now. We got a couple hundred people there now.
All right. Well, congratulations. I hope it
Thank
keeps
you.
growing like a mushroom. Um, and Andrew, you've had a lot to overcome this year.
Mhm.
I'm really you're a strong spirit, and I'm proud to call you my trading warrior brother.
Thank you so much. Likewise, Dale.
I'm really so. Good hunting. I'll talk to you in January, February, and maybe you could use your video next time and show us the crown that you won
Uh,
in the trading contest.
I would love that. Yeah, we'll see what
Huh?
happens. Thank you
You
so
know, when
much.
you get crowned as king of
I would
trading
love
in the
that.
U.S. Trading Championship. All right, buddy. So follow Andrew at on X at Pristine Capital and check out his writings. If he's winning the contest, and he is number one, last time you were like six, so weren't you? You're a little lower, so he's
Yeah.
made some gains. Follow the guy uh, for stock ideas. Okay, so appreciate you giving your time and sharing your methodology, buddy.
No problem, Dale. Take care. Thank you so much again.
All right, Andrew O'Connell, everybody, you could join the team in about 20 minutes on the morning edge. See everyone for Turnaround Tuesday and talk about a Turnaround Tuesday. Wow, this Tuesday is going to have people turning around so many times. They're going to be so dizzy from turning around, they're going to need to sit down for a while. Anyway, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. See everyone tomorrow. And thanks. Hope we're helping you out here. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Forex Analytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.